Hello, and welcome to the Living My Human Design podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Hoover, and I'm so excited that you're here. I have been on a self-healing journey since my early 20s, and when I discovered human design in January of 2021, I felt like I had finally found what I had spent the last 20 years searching for. I believe that if we live as our authentic selves, having forgiveness, compassion, love, and understanding in our hearts, that ripples out and positively impacts everyone we interact with. That is how we have the biggest positive impact on the world. My purpose is to be a beacon of light in the world, attracting those who have broken down, fallen apart, and are stuck under the weight of life, and help them rise up as their true authentic selves. By sharing my human design experiment through this podcast, I hope to encourage others to begin their own healing journey by experimenting with their own human design. Continue listening and join me on this life-changing experiment of self-discovery. Hello, and welcome to episode 9 on authority. I'm so glad that you're here. So, how has your experiment been going this week? Manifestors, projectors, and reflectors, have you been being sure to spend some time in your own aura? Have you been checking in to see where your energy is at? And have you been lying down before you're tired to help release the energy that you've collected throughout the day? How's that been going for you? Manifestors, have you been informing others before you act on your inspirations? Generators and MGs, have you been waiting to respond? How does that feel? How has that been affecting your day? Projectors, have you been waiting for the invitation? And then reflectors, have you been paying attention to how your environment feels? Have you been checking in to see how you're feeling each day? Well, my week last week was a little bit low. My energy was pretty low, and I was in a little bit of an emotional low. So I did not do my morning yoga a few times this week, and I wasn't moving my body as much as I had been. And I noticed that when I wasn't moving my body as much, then I didn't sleep as well. And when I didn't sleep as well, it was harder for me to wake up and do yoga in the morning. And so the week was just kind of a little bit off. I didn't journal as much in the evening. And so I wasn't checking in to notice specifically what I was responding to. And you know what? That's okay. We're going to have off days. We're going to have off weeks. And that's just part of the experiment. And it's okay. So this week my emotions are better. I'm not in quite a low. And you're going to learn about that a little bit in today's podcast because we're going to be talking about authority, and my authority is emotional authority. So tune in and let's go ahead and get started. So if you have not pulled your chart yet, you can get a free copy from my website, and that's livingmyhumandesign.com. And at the top of the page, there's the section that says get your chart, or if you're on a mobile device, it'll be where the 3 little lines are. You can click on that and click get chart. Or it's also in the show notes of this podcast. And you'll want to know your authority as you listen, because today I'm going to go over all 7 of the different authorities in this podcast. So what is authority? Authority is how you become aligned with your human design and how to make decisions. So we've been taught to make decisions with the mind, and the mind's job is for collecting information and experiences, and for comparing this to that and contemplating unique perceptions and reflections that can be shared with others. So it's for the other, it's for other people. It is not for making decisions. And in human design, we learn to make decisions with the body. So the mind is invested in your identity and your personality, And the authority is invested in your energy and your soul intentions. What moves us through life on your unique path is the brilliance of our body, the form that we inhabit. We're all designed with a unique way to make decisions with our body consciousness that helps us to get back on the correct path or to keep us on our correct path. It empowers us to live authentically from our own personal truth. Now, there is a hierarchy to the authority. So there's 7 different authorities. And the first authority is emotional authority. And then we have sacral authority, splenic authority, ego authority, self-authority, environmental authority, and a moon or a lunar authority. So the first one that we're going to talk about is emotional authority. So if you have a defined solar plexus, then you have emotional authority, and feelings rule your life, and you're here to serve your feelings. The emotional authority operates through an ever-moving mechanical wave of highs and lows and everything in between. And when making a decision, it's really important to slow down and sleep on things. This allows you to know how you feel in all parts of your wave. The truth will reveal itself over time. And it's best to avoid making decisions when you're in emotionally charged highs or lows. For example, I had a customer a couple weeks ago that had me move a shipment for one of their customers, and they wanted me to work directly with their customer. And it was a shipment that was coming out of Canada and into the US, and their customer wasn't really familiar with moving freight cross-border. And so I gave them all the information that they needed. I recommended some custom brokers. I told them all the paperwork that they were going to need in order to cross the border. And they told me that they had all their documents in line, and I scheduled a truck. And then our truck got stopped at the border because they hadn't actually hired the customs broker. The customs broker had kind of dropped the ball. And it turned into this huge fiasco. And so in the height of it, I started an email 3 different times to my customer telling him that I was never going to move freight for someone that I wasn't already set up with, and someone who wasn't familiar with the services that we offered or wasn't familiar with Canada to US shipments, because I was so frustrated. And 3 times I deleted the email and I didn't send it. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because the receiver was so happy with how we handled the situation and the communication that we had with them, and helping guide them along every step of the process, that they actually recommended us to some other companies. So it worked out better for me to not have had that in the moment reaction and sent that email off to my customer because I was frustrated. So when you have emotional authority, consistency is what you're looking for. A yes consistently over a 24-hour period is a yes. But if you have a yes in there, you're like, no, I mean, maybe not. Maybe this isn't right for me. And then a little while later, you're like, yeah, actually, I think this is right. If it's going back and forth like that, then it's probably a no. And with emotional authority, you'll never have 100% clarity, but the choice will just feel right. There will be a peace in the decision. And it's important if you have emotional authority that you don't want to indulge your emotions, or it'll amplify the wave. And you also don't want to repress the emotions, because that can also amplify the wave or completely disconnect you from your feelings, which is really disastrous, because you're designed to feel those feelings. And it's really important to set up boundaries and to teach people to give you time in making a decision. So if someone is asking for you to commit your energy to them, and you can start off by saying, you know what, let me get back to you on that. Or I'll have to check my calendar and I'll let you know tomorrow. Something to that effect. you got to reteach people how to treat you, set up those boundaries. The next authority that we have is the sacral authority. Sorry about that. And with sacral authority, you have a defined sacral center and an undefined solar plexus. So only generators and manifesting generators will have sacral authority. And we talked a little bit about the sacral when we were talking about the generator and the manifesting generator types. Sacral authority is the deepest and most reliable way to receive guidance in the now of what is correct and incorrect for the generator at any moment. So it speaks through sound, such as for yes and for no. And it comes immediately when asked to commit your energy to something before the mind jumps in with its opinion. This is an in the now response to something external of you. It's not a thought or an inspiration that drops in. If you do get a thought or an inspiration, jot it down and then wait for synchronicities or signs before responding. Generators are here to generate life force energy for the planet, to do the work that lights them up and that excites them. And the sacral is there in the moment, guiding generators towards what lights them up. And you may need to reconnect with that sacral sensation or that sacral sensation, the sound that the sacral makes. Because from a really young age, we're really taught to be disconnected from our sacral response, from our uhs and uhs, and that's really conditioned out of us. So you may need to reconnect to your sacral, and to do that, get someone you trust to ask you 100 questions that don't matter. And by don't matter, I mean like, are the walls white? Is your hair brown? Is your hair purple? Do you like chocolate? Do you like vinegar? Just so that you can get used to what that sacral response sounds like. It's the sound that comes up before the mind pops in and gives its input or its opinion. And the sacral is the most reliable, honest, and trustworthy guide to reducing resistance and maintaining satisfaction for the generator and the manifesting generator who have sacral authority. So a quick note for manifesting generators and generators who have emotional authority is that you will first get that initial yes or no from your sacral response. So you will get that or from the sacral. But with emotional authority, you have to take time to make your decisions. And so it's really important for you to take at least 24 hours or to feel your way through the decision and make sure that it is, in fact, a yes before you decide to connect to or commit your energy. So pay attention to the and of the sacral, but then remember you have to wait through your emotional wave before you make the decision. So next we have the splenic authority. So a person with splenic authority has a defined spleen and an undefined solar plexus and sacral. And the spleen is all about instinct and the physical well-being of the body. It's where our intuition resides. And you may hear, see, know, taste, smell, or feel something as the spleen speaks to you. So the spleen speaks through senses. And it knows what you need to do to keep the body safe, secure, and taken care of. And the thing with the spleen is that it speaks in a whisper. It's an instinct that is felt in an instant, and it's a physical feeling that's different for everyone. It could be a tickle in the nose, or goosebumps, or a taste in the mouth, or something you hear, or just a knowing. But it's usually a physical feeling, and it's a nudge of survival, letting you know which environments, directions, opportunities, and people that are safe and right for you. So the spleen's voice is really quiet, and it speaks softly, and it does not repeat itself. So it's really important to stay present and tuned into your body because that's really critical for your survival. The spleen is consistently and spontaneously communicating with you about your moment-to-moment well-being, and decisions must be made in the moment. And if you wait, then the moment's gone. So it'll take some time to practice listening and trusting this spleen response because the mind really wants to jump in and second guess. It wants to worry about the emotional needs and wants and pressures of others. The spleen's not aware of the future, and what's good for you now may change in 10 minutes, or it may change tomorrow, or it may change next week. You will know instinctively when something is correct and safe for you in the moment and when it's not. Okay, so next we have our ego authority, and there are two types of authority here. The most common one is the ego manifested authority, and it's expressed through the throat center verbally. So it's really important for you to listen to what you say in order to know your truth. It's not what the mind is telling you, and it's not what you think, in quotes, what you think you should say, but it's what you say when you're not trying to control it, what you just blurt out in the moment, bypassing your mind. That's your truth. So you're designed to have an impact with your words, so trust what you say. Surrender to the truth of your voice is really key for you. And because you have so many open centers, you can't trust your not self mind to speak for you because of the conditioning. The more open centers we have, the more susceptible we are to conditioning. So your voice initiates and runs your life. Your voice leads and you follow. So it's really important for you to trust your voice. And then the other type of ego authority is the ego projected authority. And this is when the heart is connected to the G center. And this is a very rare form of projector. So following your strategy and authority is essential for an ego projected authority. And the only thing that they can trust is waiting for the invitation. It's really easy to get lost in all the openness of the design of the ego projected authority. And so waiting to be recognized and invited is key. You have an enormous capacity to be transformative, to be a transformative force when invited. So be selfish in your decision making. Ask yourself, what do I want? What's in it for me? And you'll either have the energy to do something or you won't. And while you're waiting, it's really important that you use that time to prepare yourself by learning about systems that will help you to guide others. Your heart stays healthy by making and keeping promises, and you must have a balance between work and rest. And this is important for the ego manifested authority as well. The heart center works so that you can have time to play. And then we have our self-directed authority. And the self-directed authority is about direction and the higher self. It originates out of the G center and connects to the throat. And there are no motors involved in this authority. And so the G center is going to send you in the direction of what's correct or incorrect for you to experience love, because the G center is all about self-love and unconditional love. So the key for this authority is listening to what you say, because the throat is defined. And it's about talking out your direction for higher states of love. So listen to what you say, and whatever you need to know is in what you say. Now, this isn't asking for permission or advice. It's simply speaking out loud to hear what's correct, what's the correct or incorrect direction for you to go in. So don't try to figure it out mentally, what you're going to say. Simply listen and trust your voice in the moment. Pay attention to if and when the mind jumps in to question your direction. And then ask yourself, is this conditioning and incorrect? So you're designed to be guided by how things make you feel. Ask yourself, will this bring me joy? Will this give me self-expression? Am I heading in the right direction for me? And when talking it out, make sure that you speak to people you trust and that have your highest and greatest good at heart, people who won't project their own stuff onto you. All right, next we have our mental projector. And this is a really rare and unique authority for a person who has a defined ajna connected to the head and or the throat with no definition below the throat. So for a mental projector, the environment is very important because they're receiving guidance from sensory information about the environment through their open centers. So if your environment feels wrong or off, then your decisions will be wrong or off too. So the first question you want to ask yourself is this environment right for me? And be aware of your mind and its tendency to intervene in your decision making. Do you see a common theme here? Our mind always wants to jump in, but it's not there for making decisions. It's just there for comparison and contemplation. So this authority also operates like a sounding board, and you're guided by what you say and how you say it. So you're designed to talk things out with someone or a group of someones that you trust who can hear what you're really saying. The sounding board is able to hear the tone, see your body language, and hear what's not being said to help the mental projector know their truth. So take your time, talk it out, and know that it may take a few conversations for you to know your decision. And the final authority we have is lunar authority. And lunar authority is for those with no defined centers. So this is our reflector's authority. So the reflector's authority is connected to the 28-day lunar cycle. And it's very important for you to slow down and take time when making important decisions. As the moon moves through the reflector's chart in a 28-day cycle, it creates in them a reliable and repeating pattern. As the moon moves through the reflector's chart, it gives the reflector a sense of consistency. This lunar cycle starts when you receive an important offer or an invitation has been extended to you. And you really need a consistent group of friends that makes you feel good if you're a reflector. Someone who will just listen and support you. So during the lunar cycle, you're going to want to talk out your decisions with your people. And again, this is not for advice, but it's to articulate your thoughts and have their truth reflected back to you. It's really important that reflectors don't feel rushed in making a decision, and clarity will come as a sudden knowing deep inside you if an offer or invitation is correct for you. And this clarity can sometimes take more than one lunar cycle, so enjoy being consistently surprised and delighted by life. And that is all of our authorities in human design. So now we're going to be adding authority into our experiment. And it's really important to be honest and to take full responsibility for your results. Life is not going to change overnight. You've had years of conditioning under your belt. And this experiment stuff, it isn't hard, but it isn't like super easy either. It takes time and contemplation and awareness. So be kind to yourself and tell yourself the truth. Are you being overcritical of yourself? Are you allowing the mind to take the lead? Are you discounting your results? Are you discounting the results that you're starting to see because they don't seem big enough? Every positive result, no matter how small, needs to be recognized because we're reconditioning the mind. Okay? So the mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes things. That's just the way that it operates. So we need to show our mind our results by journaling and then reviewing our journal and remembering our wins so that it can't be deleted and distorted. And this experiment and learning to trust our authority is us stepping away from being identified with the mind. Get uncomfortable by trusting your inner guidance system over your thoughts. Growth happens when we step outside of our comfort zone. Now, fear is going to show up and it's going to try and stop you from trusting your authority. And all fear is your ego trying to keep you safe. My mentor, Emma Dunwoody, just mentioned today in a training that I was in with her that, think of your ego like your dumb friend. He's there, he's worried about you, he gives you advice, but he's not there to make decisions. He's there to make sure that you don't do something stupid, I suppose, but you wouldn't leave the ultimate decision up to him. So your ego is just trying to keep you safe, but it's not familiar with this new way and with this new direction that you're going through. So simply say, thank you, ego. I've got this. Now, hopefully you knew your authority before you started listening to this podcast. But if not, look at your chart and determine what your authority is. And again, you can get your free chart from my website, livingmyhumandesign.com, and it's down in the show notes. So write down these questions and then journal on them when you have like 30 minutes to an hour. And these questions will also be in the show notes. So when in the past have you made a decision that felt good and gave you the results that you were looking for? For example, when my husband and I decided to sell our house and live full time in an RV, we talked about it for about a week. And then there was just this calm knowing that this was what we wanted to do. This is what we were going to do. And we took some time because we're both emotional authorities. And there was just this calm and this peace when we came to that decision. So then ask yourself, how did your authority show up in this process? How did you feel? What did you see or hear or know? Now, think of a time when you made a decision that didn't go so well and it felt forced or it made you feel stuck. How did your mind show up in this process? You may have even asked yourself later, what was I thinking? How did you feel before and after? What did you see, hear, know? Over the next week, keep your strategy and authority in your awareness as you go through the day. Emotional authority, just keep in the back of your mind, are you taking a little bit more time to sit with your decisions before saying yes or no? Sacral authorities, pay attention to the sound that bubbles out when people ask you to commit your energy to something. Splenic authorities, what sensations are you feeling in your body as you're making a decision? Ego authority, are you trusting your voice? Listen to what you say when you let go of the mind. Self-directed authority, will the decision bring you joy? Will it get you closer to the direction that you're heading? For the mental projected authority, who is your go-to person for bouncing your thoughts off of? Does your environment feel good? And lunar authority, how does it feel to slow down? Are you talking with your people about decisions to see what is being reflected back to you? Allow yourself time to play with your authority and experiment with it, and be aware of the small positive changes that are occurring in your outer reality. Pay attention to how you're feeling on the inside. You are designed to feel good and to create the life that you love. Thank you for listening all the way to the end of the podcast. If you like what you heard here today, please take a moment to leave a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll be notified when the next episode is released. If you have any questions, please connect with me on Instagram or Facebook. You can find the links down below in the show notes. And don't forget to grab your free copy of your human design chart from my website, livingmyhumandesign.com, or you can click the link in the show notes below. And if you're interested in an in-depth conversation about your human design chart, you can schedule an unpack with me at my website, livingmyhumandesign.com. Again, that link is in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to catching you on the next podcast. Talk to you soon.